Welcome back. The goal of today's session is to teach you the fundamentals of using the Gradebook app. We'll start by reviewing the purpose of the Gradebook and how to access it. Next, we'll discuss how to review student work and provide feedback on it. And last, we'll cover how to review student work that is in progress. Let's dive in. Open the Gradebook by clicking through the global navigation panel on the left side and choosing the Gradebook app. The Gradebook allows you to review student work in three ways: the lesson view, the activity view, and the student work view. These views are available to provide you with the flexibility to assess student work based on your preference. For instance, you can view the submission status here for your entire class and view the grade for a specific activity that the students have turned in. However, I can also go to the activity view by selecting on a specific activity name. So if I wanted to view more information about how my students did on the writing activity, I could click on that and come into the activity view. I can also click on a particular student's name in order to view their student work view to view all of the work that that particular student has turned in. Let's start back at the lesson view. From in the lesson view, I can choose a particular class or lesson by clicking on the Change button here at the top right, or by clicking anywhere along the Change bar. If you happen to teach both science and ELA, for example, then you could change your course under the Subject field at the left. You can also choose the particular unit, subunit, or chapter, and finally the exact lesson that you are looking to look at. So in this example, we are in Doll and Narrative Subunit 3, Boy Tales of Childhood, and in Lesson 3, Using Text Details in Writing. You may also hover and then click any of the individual filters to change your selection for class or period, unit, subunit, etc. For example, if I go in, I can choose Doll and Narrative, Subunit 2, and Lesson 5, and it will take me directly to that lesson. The display will be different for each lesson, as this screen shows us only those activities in the lesson that include student submissions. For example, a certain activity in the lesson was only a projection that you displayed to the class and did not instruct the student to hand in any work, then that activity will not appear in the gradebook. Only those activities that have submitted work will appear here. To navigate to all the activities for a lesson, use the arrows on the upper right corner of the gradebook. Depending on your device, you may also scroll across the screen to view more activities. Looking down the column, you'll see each of the students in this class section. Then, for each activity in the lesson, you'll see if they've handed in work, if there's work in progress, or if the field is blank, they have not yet begun the activity. You can also see here which activities have already had a score assigned to them. Scores are automatically provided for auto-scored activities. For all auto-scored activities, the score applies to the student's original submission. If a student resubmits their work, the score will not be reflective of the latest submission. A blue triangle will be displayed for a particular activity if a student has updated or resubmitted their work. The gradebook also allows you to provide a manual grade score to activities. Examples where this might be used: 1. A teacher chooses to override an auto-generated score provided by the app. Or 2, if a student has not been able to submit their work electronically and completes the assignment on paper, the teacher can still capture that grade score in the gradebook. Let's review student-submitted work for the activities in this lesson. Student submissions that are in progress status are visible to you. This status is provided in case a student forgets to select Hand In when they have completed an activity on the lesson, or if you as the teacher would like to see the progress your student is making during class on a particular activity. To review work that has been handed in by the student, simply click the Handed In text. All submissions are always given in context so that you can see the question that was asked in addition to the student's response. From this screen, you can do and see a number of things such as the student's name, date, and time of the submission. You can also leave feedback, assign a grade, or assess skills, or cycle through the student's submissions for this particular activity within this lesson. Giving feedback on student work is always encouraged. Simply highlight where in the student's work you would like to give feedback, hit the comment button that appears, and type the comment that you would like to leave. After a comment is typed, make sure that you hit the Save button. A yellow dialog will appear telling you that you have an unsent comment. Be sure to hit the Send Now button in order to send this comment to the student. You can immediately send this feedback to the student, and they will immediately receive that feedback. On the other hand, you could wish to write feedback for all of your students and then send that feedback all at the same time rather than one after the other. In this case, after writing your comment, simply click Save and then move to the next student's submission. Again, you can cycle through your students by using the arrows here in the upper right corner. So I'm just going to click that arrow and move to the next student. Could go through several students, commenting on each one of their pieces of work. Now I'm going to click the X here at the top left of the screen to return to the lesson overview page in the gradebook. And by clicking on the name of the activity in the header bar here, I can review all of the comments that I've given to students for this particular assignment, as well as anything I've recorded in the rubrics. Here I can also send all of my comments at once to the students who I've given written feedback to. Feedback is accessible to the student either through the My Work, the work repository for students, or through the lesson itself if they choose to go back to a lesson. Let's go back to the lesson overview page for this lesson in the gradebook. And I'm now going to click Handed In for Activity 3 for Student 1 here. Now that you know how to give feedback and assign a grade to all activities, you'll clearly see how assessing skills for writing assignments is a similar process. If I click on the grade score here in the top right corner, in this box, I can type any grade I'd like. You're not limited to only numbers or letters. You can assign an A or an 85%, or simply type good job if you choose. Notice again, as with feedback, there are two buttons in this box, send and save. By clicking send, you can immediately send this grade or score to the student, and they'll see the feedback immediately, or you can choose to grade all the work and then send all the grades at once at the same time, the way we did before. You may also choose to assess skills for conventions, focus, and use of evidence for any writing activities. You have the option of providing a rubric score from 1 to 4 for each of these skills. To learn more about these skills and assessment criteria, select the Information button at the top right of the Assess Skills view. Let's try this again for the next student's writing submission. Whatever is typed for a grade will also appear at the Gradebook lesson view, replacing the handed in text. By returning to the Gradebook activity view, you may also review all of the grades and skills provided to each student in this activity. As the instructor, you may decide to send all the grades at this time or send these individually to each student. Note that skills are not sent to students. These are for the teacher assessment only. For more detailed views of skill assessment and student progress, review our reporting application. We have now reviewed how you can quickly see the status of all the student submissions for a given lesson in the Gradebook lesson view. We have also reviewed the Gradebook activity view, which allows you to see student scores, feedback, and skills assessed for a particular activity within a lesson. Let's move on to see how you can review and grade score as well as provide feedback to a given student's work for all the activity submissions in the current Amplify unit. By selecting a particular student's name, I can go to the Gradebook Student Work view. As mentioned earlier, students can view all of their feedback and submission through My Work, the work repository for students, or the lesson itself. In this screen, you're able to see all the work products a given student has submitted for the current unit. At the top of the screen, you will see the student's name and the unit you are currently grading work in. You also have the option to sort the work by lesson or by date, depending on your preference. You can also filter this view to see all the work the student submitted for this unit, just the writing they submitted for this unit, or any assignments you have previously provided feedback on. By selecting a particular assignment, you are then brought back to the Submitted Activity view, where you can provide a grade or score, provide feedback and skill assessment, as we reviewed earlier in this video. To return to the Gradebook Student Work view, simply close the current activity and select the next submission you'd like to review. Finally, notice the two buttons for Export and Print here in the Gradebook. Export allows you to download a file of all student grades entered for the current lesson and class section to your device. The file is saved to a location based on your device setup and user preferences. The file is named with the format gradebook underscore your current section name underscore and your current unit name. You can convert all student grades for a given lesson into a spreadsheet. If your school has its own system for storing grades, you can upload this spreadsheet there, or you can store this spreadsheet to your personal hard drive. The Print button allows you to quickly view all student responses in one page, and print is necessary. You can choose to view and print for all the students in a class section, or choose students individually. Clicking the print icon allows you to print each student's responses in its own page, along with any comments or grades that the teacher has given. You will also notice the Manage Levels button is accessible through the Gradebook. This Manage Levels function allows you to set the differentiation levels for all students in the current sections. For more information on managing levels, view our differentiation video. Thanks for viewing the Gradebook screencast. For more information about the Amplify ELA Gradebook, visit our resource website.